The following is a presentation of Anchor with your host, Marshall Haynes. Welcome in another edition of the Dirt Racing Podcast. Let's get started. In the results, news, and what's coming up this week's portion of the show, we start out at Super Dirt Week in Oswego, New York, where on Saturday was the Salute to the Troops 150. Your winner was Billy Decker. It was his 7th win in the Salute to Troops 150. Then on Sunday was the Billy Widowmaker Cars 200, where Matt Williamson picks up his first win in the 200, where there was 20 cautions in the race. The World of Outlaws last Sunday was at Hobstown, Indiana, and Christopher Bell picked up the win in his own car. The ASCS Saturday night was at Creek County in Oklahoma, and Sam Haferteef was the winner. Upcoming races for this week. You'll hear us in a few minutes talk about Trophy Cup. That's at Tulare, California this weekend. The World of Outlaws make their final Midwest trip this weekend at Lakeside Speedway in Kansas, and then the Jason Johnson Classic at Eldon, Missouri at the Lake of the Ozarks Speedway. Welcome to the Dirt Racing Podcast. Our guest today will help us tell you about Trophy Cup. Bobby Gerould, how's it going, Bobby?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Getting excited for this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be headed over there to Tulare a little bit later this afternoon, and then the racing starts tomorrow. And they'll start nice and early because they're going to have a bunch of cars, and then they'll continue on Friday, and then the championship night will be Saturday night.
Can you explain the format in case people don't know?
Yeah, it's, without going into too much detail, basically what the Trophy Cup is about is a race fan by the name of Dave Pusateri, who was a loyal fan at San Jose Speedway for many, many years before that place shut down. He goes back to the days when the fast guys would start at the back and the main events would be fully inverted. And he missed seeing that, so he devised a point system and basically devised this race where we would get to see in the final night, the fast guys have to come from the back and get points for moving up through the field. And the way the point structure works, it's turned out to be pretty neat. It just makes for exciting racing from the first time you time trial through your heat races, through any time you're on the track, you're being rewarded for passing cars. And so it's all based on a point system, and they keep tallying up points. Thursday and Friday night, actually, they take the higher of the 2 points point night score for the driver and team. So if you have a good night on Thursday, you can kind of cruise a little bit on Friday night and basically just live off your Thursday points. And vice versa, if you mess up on Thursday night or you get in a crash or something like that, then you can come back on Friday night and still salvage a good Trophy Cup. So it makes for some exciting racing. The fans love it. It's grown in stature, year by year.
And it's also for a good cause too.
It's for a great cause, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they've raised an obscene amount of money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation over the years. But it is one of the things that seems to make the Trophy Cup special is just the fact that you are doing it for charity. It just brings a different vibration to everything about the weekend. People are in a good mood. They're upbeat. Maybe a little more forgiving about different things than they would be. It's also late in the season, at a time when people aren't, it's not like it's in the middle of summer, how it is sometimes when people have been racing every day for a long period of time and they're a little grumpy and the weather's hot, that kind of stuff. So it's a little later in the year, the perfect 73 and 75 degrees. degrees for highs Thursday through Saturday. It'll chill off a little bit. Just good fall weather, and it just makes for a great event.
And who's some of the up and comers out there that we can expect?
Well, there's going to be a whole bunch of great entries that are entered in this race. So as far as first, I think Freddie Bramer's still a guy that's has his best days ahead of him. He's going to be driving the Brent Kading Racing number 69, coming out from Pennsylvania. Colby Copeland is a kid from Roseville, California. I call him a kid. He's a veteran race car driver, but he seems to continue to get better and better. Mitchell Facento has been another guy based out of the Central Valley that's gotten a lot better. Buddy Kofoid's going to be racing for the Tarletons in one of their cars, and I think everybody is pretty aware of Buddy and his championship this year at Fremont Speedway. Ryan Burnell's a non-wing ace who is getting better and better with a wing. He's going to be there. Caleb Henry is a young driver out of the Sacramento area. He's going to be in one of the Doug Roots cars. We got to hit on some of the stars that are going to be there as well. You're going to have Bud Kading, and you're going to have Tim Kading, and you're going to have Aaron Reitzel's going to be there, and you're going to have Dominic Selzy, Shane Golovic, who's a two-time champion at the event, Jason Solwall, Rico Abreu, Jack Ottenshield, Randy Hannigan's coming back, the veteran driver. We haven't seen him out here in a while, so excited about that. It's deep with talent. Paul McMahon's running it. Carson Macedo's little brother, Paul Macedo, he definitely fits into the class. He's going to be there. Kyle Hurst, who's been close to winning the Trophy Cup before, but hasn't broken through. He'll be there. Willie Croft, who's won the Trophy Cup in the past. DJ Neto's a good young driver out here in the California area. The Johnson brothers, Chase Johnson and Colby Johnson, will be there. Jody Robinson's a good young driver. That's coming up through the ranks. She won an SCCT race earlier this year. She'll be there. Blake Hahn from ASCS World. So, you can see it's a loaded field. So it's kind of like a national event, except it's on the West Coast. Yeah, it's kind of grown in stature to that point. The winner's going to take home, I believe, $26,000 this year if you're the high point person. You're guaranteed that over the course of the 3 days. So it's an interesting event. It's a lot of fun, good racing, and the Thunderbolt Raceway, for folks who haven't been there, it's a third long high bank racetrack with pretty long straightaways and pretty tight turns. And it just seems to make for exciting racing. It's one of the places where the drivers that are really skilled can get up on the wall, and literally on the wall. Sometimes they rub their right rear on part of the wall as they come off turn 4. So it's exciting racing.
Then I have some other questions out, not Trophy Cup for you.
Okay.
First of all, I know your dad came back for the Nationals. First time since 90? What did his impression of it?
Oh, he loved it. He hadn't been there in a long time, so to see all the different changes, and Bob Baker, who's the head guy over there at the Hall of Fame Museum, gave us a great tour. We spent a lot of time walking through.
Still there? You were talking about the Nationals with your dad.
Yeah, he had a great time. We spent some time in the Hall of Fame Museum and really enjoyed some of the displays there. I think it's really cool that they have different regional displays from all over. So there is stuff from California, there's stuff from Pennsylvania, there's stuff obviously from the Midwest. It was a really cool experience, and Bob Baker gave us a great tour all the way through the Hall of Fame Museum and up in some of the suites. And then on Saturday night, Tony Bruce Jr. Jr. invited us up into his suite, so we spent part of the night there watching the races. Overlooking her too. But we had a great time. The Nationals is something else. Anybody who hasn't been to the Nationals, you definitely need to put that on your list of things to do because it's a great show.
Yeah, and then talk about, I just seen it back the other day. It came up on Twitter. The wave when you were doing TV, the T-Mac Terry McCarl.
Yeah, I did see that on Twitter. Someone reposted that, and I thought that was it was a great memory from a good night of racing. Actually, the only reason that I caught that as an announcer was that I had seen Terry do that before. Terry spent some time out here racing at San Jose Speedway, and I always loved having some time with Terry. He's a fun guy, and he's good for the sport. And he likes to bring a little flair and showmanship to what he does. And so I'd seen that before. He'd pass somebody out here and given him a wave. And, so we were locked in on, you're either watching the racetrack or watching a monitor, but I was, in hindsight, I'm really glad that I caught that, him and knew what it was, knew that he wasn't giving him the finger or wasn't, trying to do anything silly there. I knew that was a signature T-Mac thing, was to give a guy a little wave every once in a while.
And then going back to the West Coast, how's the car counts been?
It depends on what we're talking about. It's the 410s. There's not quite the inventory that there are in the 360s. So we'll have probably 80 to 100 cars here this weekend. But the car count usually in the 20s and 30s, somewhere in the range.
Yeah, and then I know back to Larry, I know this weekend on Cushion and they've been advertising it like crazy. That Portsmouth told them to take a wish.
Yeah, so anyone who's out in your neck of the woods, or anyone who can't make it to Tulare, you could definitely dial up the Cushion and check it out. The racing is second to none. We'll have Troy Hennig will be up in the booth with me. He's a great, knowledgeable announcer who does the Silver Dollar Speedway at Marysville on a regular basis, and also does a lot of big races around California. And he is dialed in. He knows everything there is to know about these guys. So we always look forward to working with Troy. Gary Thomas, I'm sure, will get some mic time as well. And Stu McCarthy from Australia has flown over, and so he'll be there again handling some wireless microphone duties. So I feel like we have it pretty well, and it should be a good show. Fish always does a great job.
And have you been paying attention on Nashville, the Outlaws lately?
The Outlaws?
Yeah, with that points battle right now.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, Brad Sweet and Donnie Schatz, and then is Gravel still within striking distance too, or is it?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's basically the top two.
Yeah, so I think that's great. It's good for the sport anytime there's a good points battle, and I think it changes the way, just in my experience and seeing race drivers and teams over the years, it changes the way they drive a little bit late in the year. Maybe a little less willing to put it on the edge, and a little more conservative when you're racing for points, because you just don't want to do anything silly. You want to try to avoid any DNFs if at all possible. So it is interesting how a points battle can affect the racing a little bit. Sometimes it opens up the door for some different winners late in the season, just because some of the guys are racing a little more conservatively.
And then talk about your time. You did call some races at Knoxville over the years.
Yeah, I was lucky enough as a pretty young guy to be invited up there. I believe at the time with Trier and Jack Fairway, I think.
Fairway, yeah.
Fairway, yeah. They were the announcers at that time, and Jack Miller would come in to do the Nationals. And so when I was a kid, maybe 17 or 18, they invited me up to call like one of the dashes or something like that at the Nationals, and so I always enjoyed that. And then a little bit later on, maybe in the early '90s. Actually, was hired and brought in to do some infield announcing there, and so those were great times. And then I think I did at one. There was at least 1 year where I got to spend some time up in the booth for the Nationals. So that was fun. And then, of course, later on, I got to do some TV stuff. And I certainly missed the live TV aspect of the Nationals. I thought that was a really good thing for the sport.
Yeah, but it's helped the crowd lately, not being live, too.
You think so?
On Saturday night, especially. The last several years.
I think that the Nationals are so strong that if it was televised or it wasn't televised, that place would still be packed to the rafters. So I actually think it would. I'm in the camp that thinks that live television would just create more and more interest and sell you more tickets. But I guess that's a debate for another talk show.
Yeah, but and then talk about you got to work on with TV with some of the good guys like Steve Evans and Ralph.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Steve Evans. Steve Evans was a really good guy. I've been out there with TNN. He was kind of the elder statesman of the crew, and he taught me a lot of things about the industry and little tips and tidbits about how to get through a night and how to shut your brain off after the races were over and not dwell on things. And it was a sad, tragic night when we found out that he was no longer with us. We were actually at a World Outlaws race in Las Vegas when that happened. And I miss Steve to this day. He's a good guy. Ralph Shaheen is so into the auto racing world all the way around. He works really hard. I have a lot of respect for him and all the things he's been able to do through the years as an announcer and an entrepreneur, and reviving National Speed Sport News, and just his nonstop commitment to motorsports is definitely. I mean, that's his passion and that's what he loves to do, and he's done a great job with it.
And even before on the National Network, the American Sports Cavalcade, I wish somebody would bring that back.
Yeah, those were great shows. They really had a nice formula for doing those shows. My dad worked on many of those, and I was lucky enough to be like a production assistant on several of those shows. And they just had a nice format for the way they cut those shows up. I think they were maybe an hour long, and they took out all the downtime and basically just gave you, the best meat of the program. So the American Sports Cavalcade, was definitely kind of a groundbreaking thing, I think, in motorsports coverage. It was mostly done by, I think it was all done by Diamond P Sports Productions and a fellow by the name of John Mullen, who was the director of those shows with quite a bit over the years on different things. And he did a really good job on that stuff.
And any other projects you're up to besides just announcing?
Oh yeah, I've got my hands in all kinds of things. I do a little bit of DJing out here in California, and I have a website that's related to basketball. So gearing up for the NBA season out here, and doing some announcing and whatever kind of public speaking MC work that I can get, and just keeping it busy that way. I'm also really into sports cards and sports card collecting. I have a pretty extensive basketball card collection, and I'm into old vinyl albums and all kinds of stuff.
We appreciate your time, and we'll hope to hear you this weekend.
Well, thank you very much, Marshall. I appreciate you having me on, and hope everything is well there in your neck of the woods. And I invite all the listeners of your podcast to please tune in on the Cushion this week and join us from Tulare, California for the Trophy Cup. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all in the racing, and hopefully if me, Troy, and Gary, and Stu, and all the people at the Cushion do our job, we'll make it an enjoyable experience for you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you, Marshall.
Thanks for Bobby Gerould to come on. As we were talking about It's live on the Cushion at www.cushion.com for all the info. It's $85 for 3 days. So Thursday and Friday it's 30, Saturday night's 35, and the portion of the sales you're making basically a donate. They'll make a donation on your behalf to make a wish. So it's a great cause, a good event, and we'll have the results on next week's show.
Welcome, my guest, live from California right now, getting ready to race tonight. Buddy Kofoid, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good. Appreciate you having me on. Like you said, we're at Trophy Cup this weekend in Tulare, and driving for Charleston Motorsports, so it should be a lot of fun. I always look forward to this event.
Yeah, and then first time I saw you as a big name was 2016 at the Trophy Cup.
Yeah, that was definitely, it feels like a long time ago now. It was 4 years ago already, and that's where I got my, one of my bigger wins in my career was here at the Trophy Cup, my prelim night, so hopefully we can repeat that and maybe pick up the title.
Yeah, and then the East Coast got to see you race a lot this year so far.
Yeah, and I've was very fortunate enough to race out in the Midwest and kind of out east for Ed Newmeister and the Lenders with Ray Brooks helping us out. So I'm very fortunate to do that. It was kind of a dream of mine to be able to race out in the Midwest and race all over the place in Ohio and a little bit Indiana and stuff like that. And, so we picked up some big wins and a championship, which was some things that I wanted to do. Some of my goals was to get an all-star win and a championship, and I was able to tick those two boxes. So that was really, really cool. And then as of recently, I've been able to drive for Keith Coons a little bit in the midget and ran a sprint car and picked up a win actually in his midget about a month ago, and I've been having some really good finishes, and I'm just having fun right now.
That's the main part of racing, having fun. How did you get your start?
So I got my start. I was about 5 years old. One of our friends, his son, who's a little bit older than me, he raced outlaw karts. So I got into it through them and started running their second car, and ran it for about a year. And then my dad and I decided that we should get our own kart, and did that for about 6 or 7 years, and then we ended up getting a non-wing spec sprint when I was 9 and practiced it, and then decided to sell it and go the wing route, and built our own wing sprint car, and kind of just my dad and I, and then I had some help from some good sponsors and of course family, and was able to practice our own Wayne 360 sprint car when I was 10, and kind of doing that is when Dan Simpson kind of discovered me and practicing at Marysville and stuff like that, and decided to have me race for him and his team the following year when I was 11 because he owned the series King of the West, which is a traveling 410 series here in California. So at the time he owned that series and decided to make a little mini series called the King of the West Lights. So it was about 10 races, and I won 4 of them in the championship, and then the next year, because of how young I was 12 the next year, and couldn't do anything sprint car wise, so had to go back to the outlaw karts for a year, and then when I was 13, my dad and I decided to kind of get our own car out again, and with the help of people like Brian Crockett and Heather Boyce, they allowed me to race up in Oregon, Washington area when I was 13, and had some good success up there, and then when I kind of became of age, which would be around 14 now, I was able to race full-time in California for Dan Simpson, and had some good people come on board, like Gary Silva and So I raced for Dan for when I was 14, 15, and 16 years old a little bit. And then, after midway through last year, I started racing for Doug Reitz a little bit. And because of him, I got the opportunity to go to New Zealand, which was definitely a lot of fun seeing a new country. Because before that, I went to Australia to race too, but New Zealand's also a really, really cool place. And then that leads to this year. I'll sit back a little bit. Last year, I was talking with Carson Macedo because there was a point where I was kind of in between rides, and he was out there racing. And I was asking him, is there something maybe I could get in, or is something free, so with a free spot or whatever. And, he mentioned the lenders, so I gave him a call, and they said, yeah, we'll do a couple races and go from there. And because at the time they didn't really have a steady driver. They were just having fun racing with a whole bunch of different people, and so I did about 6 races for them, and we were really good and fast together. And so Ed and the lenders and Ray Brooks, they all kind of sat down and decided to have me back next year full time. So we raced this whole year, and just had a lot of fun, and I was able to, because of them, able to conquer the goals that I was hoping to do. And so for next year, I'm not sure what I'm doing 100% yet. I'm still trying to look for some stuff, but it's been really awesome so far.
And then the Tarletons, did this deal just come together recently for this weekend?
I've been talking to Paul for the last couple years now. Paul Baines, who kind of oversees the operation. I've always been trying to kind of get in the car with them and race together, and it just never would work out where maybe I was free or maybe they had an open seat. So it was about March or April. We were talking, and they he asked me if I could run Trophy Cup for him. I said, yeah, I can do that, because I didn't have anything for Trophy Cup at the time. And so it was really cool to finally work out where we could work with each other and race. And I've always wanted to drive for Charlton's too. They've a very prestigious team, and they're great people, and just great everything. So it's been about 6 or 7 months ago we planned to do it. And, so it's a long wait, but it's finally here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Who was some of your heroes when you were littler?
I'd say Steve Kinzer definitely was my first hero, because all of my outlaw carts and even my sprint car that my dad and I owned, it was a white body and silver wing with a red number 11. But also I've always been a huge fan of Joe Jr. and Ayrton Senna is one of my biggest heroes right now. I'm just a big fan of all of them and all the different types of racing, especially Formula One. I've just kind of fallen in love with the history of it, and so Senna is definitely a hero of mine. So I'd say those 3 are definitely my heroes.
Where would you like to race that you haven't yet gotten to?
Man, I would say Knoxville is definitely one of them. I haven't been to Knoxville yet, but also I would like to be able to just get out to Pennsylvania and race anywhere in Pennsylvania would be really cool. But honestly, I've never really thought about where I really want to race. If I haven't been there, that's where I want to that's where I want to go. Just wherever, whenever. Any new track is fun to me, and even some of the older ones that I've been to, like I've been there. Like Lawrenceburg's a really fun track and my favorite track, and I wouldn't mind going back there again. I would say anywhere new is somewhere I would love to go.
And then you're in the era where anybody can watch online and didn't have to read in the newspaper. So is that good time to race now for you?
Can you repeat that question?
I mean, talking about where anybody your fans can watch you no matter what. They don't have to be at the track.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so my social media would be obviously my name, Michael Kofoid, and for Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And then we're really fortunate now with these live streams. So like the Cushion, I believe it's the Cushion is live streaming Trophy Cup and all these great little broadcasters. So yeah, you can always if you can't make it, catch us anywhere on those like Speed Shift or Dirt Vision or the Cushion, and of course my social media.
Are you have any rides to go back overseas this year or not yet?
I'm still working on it. I would love to go back to New Zealand and hopefully defend my title. Would be really cool. But yeah, just I'm not 100% sure what my off season is looking like right now, so I'm kind of working on that.
Okay, so if you're an owner, get a hold of you then.
Yeah, no, I've been talking to some people and would love to race for the guy Daniel Anderson that I drove for in New Zealand again. But yeah, like I said, I just gotta work on some stuff and figure out scheduling. It's get pretty hectic.
Yeah, and how you said you were 14 when you started in California with the sprint cars. Is that a normal age for most people?
I was one of the younger ones, but it seems like now 14, 15, if the kid is getting into a sprint car, 14 or 15 is about an age where it's more popular now. 14 to 16, I would say, actually is a popular starting age for someone in a sprint car here in California.
We appreciate your time. Anytime you want to come back on, you're more than welcome.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks to Buddy for coming on. Appreciate for his age, his maturity level is pretty good. And you can find us now on Stitcher and tune in. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Racing Podcast.